Ever have one of those days when you're sitting there staring into space, knowing you really ought to focus on something more important than the constant dialogue in your head telling you, hey, just sit here a little while longer and stare at nothing. Yeah, just keep putting that important task off until you feel up to it. The second you cave into that voice, your productivity is toast. That's what happened to me just now, before I came to my senses and hit the record button on my microphone to begin this podcast. Miss Go Get 'em, Miss Make a to-do list 5 miles long and see how fast each task gets accomplished? Yup, I am guilty. And I can tell you exactly what tripped me up. Social media. I spent the last 30 minutes scrolling through my newsfeed with absolutely no destination or goal in mind. I just went on Facebook to post a new cover photo about my upcoming book release, The Pet Boutique, which just happens to be releasing tomorrow, by the way. Shameless plug. And wouldn't you know it, my eyes began to glaze, my mind slowed down to a turtle's pace, and I got all sloppy and lazy and forgot about hitting the record button. Something, by the way, that I love to do. I love podcasting, yet here I was procrastinating over it. I planned on spending 2 minutes on Facebook, and then I wasted 30. So why? What happened? Well, I got distracted. It's super easy to get lost when you let go of self-control and let distraction take the lead, when you flip that switch to autopilot. That's exactly what I did. A cute doggy video pulled me in, and I couldn't escape Facebook for 30 minutes. I kept scrolling with the big hope of seeing more cute dogs doing silly things. This is all fine and dandy when you've got time to spend. But I really don't. I have a set number of hours to be productive on my writing and podcasting, and I quickly let it dissolve by turning off my discipline and caving into procrastination. So what did this do? Well, it set me back almost an hour, which may not sound like much, but if I continued down this path to cute puppy videos for too much longer, well, I wouldn't have a podcast to produce. Then I'd feel really awful and spend time worrying about that instead of being productive in some other part of my life. See how being undisciplined works? It creates a giant time vortex that sucks you in. It makes it really hard to escape. So what's a woman to do when she's got big plans, fun projects, and too few hours to work it all in? She gets her fingers to stop scrolling mindlessly through social networks and gets cracking on those creative endeavors. It sounds a little simplistic though, doesn't it? That's because it is. Being disciplined is a choice. Bottom line, it is a choice. We can choose to get things done that matter, or we can choose to waste our valuable time doing things that get in the way of our progress. Which one is it? It's your choice. Weighing these two choices puts a little pressure on us. And it should. We are meant to do great things with this life. Not just skirt around the things we want to accomplish and hope they'll get done. They are not going to get done unless we stick to a plan. Being disciplined comes down to self-control. And this can be very hard for many of us. Temptations lurk around every corner. They call out to us and lure us in with their deliciousness and intrigue. When temptation calls, we either sink or swim. I'd rather swim. even though I am a scuba diver. And I do occasionally like to sink and see what's going on below the surface. The key word here is occasionally. I occasionally enjoy sinking into a moment and gliding with it. But if I spend too much time gliding, I risk losing touch with my dreams. Look, even the most pleasant of tasks, like for me podcasting and writing books, gets tossed aside when something shiny, cute, or even dramatic takes center stage and steals the show. Once in a while, this is okay. And I'd even argue can be therapeutic to indulge in whims from time to time. But too much of that, and you risk losing momentum on the things that are important to you. In my case, sharing insights here with you and writing books about cute and dramatic things, like In the Pet Boutique, where I got to write about two women falling in love and having a cute, furry sidekick to serve up entertaining vibes through the pages. Yeah, another shameless plug. Okay, so we've established why discipline can be important. What if you are not a structured person, or someone who has the willpower to say no to the lures? Well, to that, I say you are stronger than you think you are. Again, you have to choose to act. Choose to turn off the distractions and get the job done. Once you make a dent in that pile of to-dos, or write that chapter, or take the first step on a creative project, you are going to feel so freaking awesome. Truly, the sense of accomplishment is exhilarating. When I tackle something and make progress, even if it's just a small step towards a greater goal, I feel like I am a superwoman, wearing a cape, hands on hips, chin raised, chest pushed up and out. I feel confident and deserving of that good vibe. I mean, who doesn't want to feel like a superwoman? Seriously, think back on the last time you had something that mattered to you and how it felt when you made it happen. I bet you felt amazing and proud of yourself. I'd say you likely smiled for a long time and maybe even treated yourself to something special for your hard work. Being disciplined offers you the space that you need to do the things that are in your dreams. So if you are ready to start tackling your dreams with more authority and self-control, here are some tips that I found at Entrepreneur Magazine to help you get there. Own up to your weaknesses. You can't stomp out a bad habit if you are not willing to admit it's getting in your way of progress. We all have flaws. And we all have the ability to overcome the ones that suffocate our lives. Whether that's binging on TV, over-scrolling on social media, checking in too often to our cell phone notifications, overeating, whatever it is, we all have that something that challenges us to let go of what we want in lieu of a fix on that temporary temptation. Acknowledge the weakness, and it loses power. The second tip is to toss the temptations. If overeating is your thing, throw away the junk food and refuse to buy it next time you shop. If social media is your reason for not writing that scene or powering through on a rehab project that you've been dreaming up, yes, I took this idea straight out of the Pet Boutique, then set some limits on yourself. Temptation will gut your goals. They shouldn't have that kind of control over you. Remember, you can control them. The third tip is to set a goal. We hear this all the time, and it starts to sound old. Make a goal and stick to it. It's repeated in so many ways and by so many people, and yet Many of us have an issue with actually setting them and following through with them. Why is this? It's such a simple concept, yet we tend to overlook it. Perhaps it's oversaturation of hearing it that causes us to tune out of doing the very act that can set us apart. Seriously, set a goal and go do it. That's the only way you are going to get the job done. You have to know what you want, plan ways to achieve it, and then take action on it. The fourth tip is to pat yourself on the back. I think it's important to point out here that we are only human, and we are bound to mess up sometimes. You can't be perfect at willpower and self-control. Nobody's perfect, and if you shoot for perfection, you are going to fail. Because there's no such thing. So cut yourself some slack and give yourself some leeway so that you can enjoy the process of doing whatever it is you are wanting to do. If you find yourself slacking too much, don't beat yourself up over it. Simply enact a plan to improve. Limit your time on distractions to 10 minutes. Then, with all your discipline, get back to the job at hand. Allow for some wiggle room, and you'll be more apt to succeed. That brings me to my last tip, which is to enjoy the process. If you are struggling to get things done, perhaps it's time to think about your why. Why are you doing that project? Why are you writing that book? Make sure you have a powerful why to keep you going through the tough times. You know, those times in the middle that tend to sag because you are tired, out of ideas, beaten down by critical feedback. There are so many things that can go against your creative endeavors. And so having a powerful why can help remind you to stop and enjoy the small victories when you have taken that step, seen progress, and felt the emotions of achievement. Friends, as with anything you set out to do in life, if you go after it with passion and with love, you are going to enjoy the journey of it all. And isn't that really the whole point?